Today on Sports Central, we'll be going over a college football game preview and prediction on a big matchup coming up in the SEC in Week 11, and that's going to be between the Arkansas Razorbacks and the Florida Gators. And this is going to be a big game for both these teams moving forward, especially for Florida, who is definitely a college football playoff contender right now. They're coming off of a big rivalry win to Georgia. They beat them last week. Georgia was a top 5 team. Let me remind you, so that was a major win for Florida moving forward. Meanwhile, for Arkansas, they're actually having a pretty good season, especially in comparison to how they've been in the past. In the past few years, I mean, through 6 games right now, they're actually 3-3. So Arkansas is quietly having a pretty good season for them. They're coming off of a big win against Tennessee as well. So all around, Arkansas is not a team to be slept on. And we're going to be going over a full game preview and prediction on this one here today. Starting out with your team trends. Last week, Arkansas beat Tennessee once again. 24-13 was their final score there, which Tennessee is just a mess right now. They're looking terrible. But Arkansas was able to take advantage of that and get a big win against the Vols here in that one. Meanwhile, for Florida, they beat Georgia last week 44-28. Florida dominated that game. I mean, at the start of the game, it kind of looked like Georgia was going to try to take it away. But, I mean, in the end, Florida just completely came back, and they dominated that second half especially. I mean, Florida led, I think, the entire second half. So, yeah, the Gators looked really good in that matchup there against the Bulldogs. But for the winning streaks of both these teams, Arkansas currently has a 1-game winning streak as they are 3-3. Meanwhile, for Florida, they're trying to build some momentum here as they've got a 2-game winning streak and a 4-1 record. They're also ranked 6th in the nation right now. So they are just outside that top 4. I mean, they're the second one out of the college football playoff right now. So if Florida can keep winning, and if they can keep getting big games, they should be in the SEC championship game, which definitely is a gateway to opportunity to be in the college football playoff this season. So yeah, for Florida, this is a big game for them moving forward. You can't take any losses against opponents like Arkansas if you're going to be a college football playoff team. And meanwhile, for Arkansas, I mean, the Razorbacks are definitely preparing to possibly get a huge upset. I mean, if they win this game, if you think about it, Arkansas, if they win this game, they're going to be 4-3. They're going to have a winning record through 7 games, which is pretty insane. I mean, the only year where we would see that happen is 2020. Like, we haven't seen Arkansas get up to 4 wins in a very long time, I think. It's been quite a while since we've seen Arkansas be good. But, of course, this game's going to be on Saturday, November 14th, 7 p.m. Eastern in Gainesville, so Florida will be your home team here. Spread currently says Florida by 17.5. ESPN FPI's got Florida by 90, or a 90%. And the biggest prediction is saying 43-20 being the final score towards the Gators right now. So all 3 of our sources are saying Florida here, which isn't much of a surprise. Obviously, Florida coming off of a big win against the Bulldogs right now. I mean, it shouldn't be much of a surprise, but they're definitely favored big time, especially in the FPI. The spread currently says 17.5, which is, I would say, a moderate spread. I mean, it's definitely a big spread for a team, but yeah, Florida, I guess you could say, is pretty favored in this matchup. Here's your stat comparison for this game. Arkansas currently has 24 points per game, 25 points allowed. They've got 238 pass yards a game, 138 rush yards. And then for yards allowed, they got 222 passing and then 179 rushing. On the flip side, for Florida, they got 42 points per game, 29 points allowed. They got 369 passing, 126 rushing. And then as for yards allowed, 262 passing and then 139 rushing. So all around, Florida, it's pretty evident here that they are the more skilled team and that they are the better team based off of your stat comparison here. I mean, they've got 13 points per game, 13 more points per game in comparison to their points allowed. Meanwhile, for Arkansas, they actually have 1 more point allowed in comparison to their points per game, which, I mean, they've kept games pretty close all season long, so it isn't much of a surprise. But on the passing side, Arkansas has actually been pretty good. 238 pass yards a game is what they've got right now. And, of course, they've got Felipe Franks as their quarterback, who is a former Florida quarterback. Let me remind you, so Felipe Franks is playing his former team here on Saturday, so that should be an interesting matchup there for Felipe Franks, which, of course, Florida last season, after Franks was injured, decided to move on to Kyle Trask, which was a big decision for Florida, and a good one for that matter, because Kyle Trask has been excellent. I'd probably say he's a Heisman contender right now with a touchdown to interception rate of 22-3. So, yeah, Kyle Trask is definitely a top 3 quarterback in the nation, I would say, right now. But for Felipe Franks, he's got a 14-3 touchdown to interception ratio, which is pretty good. He's also got 1,400 yards so far this season, which for Arkansas, that is actually a really good stat. So, I mean, for both these teams moving forward, it's gonna be pretty good. I mean, we got 2 good quarterbacks here for both these teams, which once again, that's kind of the key highlight of this matchup is the Felipe Franks versus Kyle Trask matchup, because both quarterbacks, of course, are or once were with Florida. So yeah, it should be an interesting matchup there. But of course, for your key points, Arkansas is definitely having the best season that they've had in a while. There's no doubt about that. I mean, Arkansas, I think I mean, they had a couple of good seasons back in the early 2010s, but ever since then, Arkansas really has been pretty terrible. But I mean, Florida's coming off of a major win. Obviously, any win against any rival can be a major win, which Florida in this situation has had trouble beating Georgia in the past. So this was a major win for Florida. And both teams have got good momentum for sure moving forward. I mean, Florida coming off of a big win like that. I mean, they've got a 2-game winning streak as well. So, yeah, Florida's looking really good. Meanwhile, for Arkansas, I mean, coming off of a win against Tennessee, not too bad for Arkansas either. But whoever gets off to a better start, I think, will win this matchup. I mean, you got Arkansas on one side. I think if the Razorbacks do get up by a couple of touchdowns early, there's no doubt that Arkansas is either going to hang around or win this matchup. I think Arkansas does have potential to win this game. Let me remind you, I mean, Felipe Franks is going to be extremely motivated in this matchup, let me remind you. And I think he's going to probably have the best game that he's going to have with Arkansas, especially if he can handle the pressure of it. I mean, watch out for Felipe Franks here because I think he's bound for a big game for the Razorbacks. Meanwhile, for Florida, I mean, who knows? Kyle Trask could have that same motivation and just go out on fire, which I do expect Florida to definitely be your favorite for this game. But I do think Arkansas has potential to hang around for a good chunk of this game. Like, I don't think Arkansas is going to win it, as you can see by my predictions here, but I do think Arkansas does have potential to hang around, possibly in the first quarter, but I think by halftime this game's already going to be pretty much in favor of Florida. Your halftime score is going to be 28-10, and then in the final, Florida's going to put up 45 on the Razorbacks. Your final score will be 45-24, and we're going to see Florida win this one by at least 3 touchdowns, I think. I'm pretty confident that Florida's going to win here. Your probability will be 85% towards the Gators. And I mean, after coming off of a big win like that against Georgia, I mean, Florida's got a ton of momentum right now, and I don't think that Arkansas can stop that. And I mean, once again, Arkansas's got potential. They've had a good season so far. They're 3-3, but really, I mean, they don't really have all that great of wins. I mean, once again, Tennessee's probably their best win right now, and Tennessee is 2-4. I mean, they beat Ole Miss, they beat Mississippi State, but both of those teams right now are not looking very good. So for Arkansas, I mean, yeah, this is a team that's, I mean, they're decent, but they're not great by any means. So I think Florida is going to be my favorite for this matchup, but it should be a fun one. I mean, I'll probably be watching this matchup mainly because of the matchup between the two quarterbacks here, Felipe Franks and Kyle Trask. But then again, thanks again for watching, guys. If you enjoyed this preview, so put a like on it, subscribe as well. Really helps out the channel. I'd really appreciate that. But as always, thanks again for watching. Stay tuned for more from All Sports Central. I'll see you all in the next one.